everyone. We are starting our meeting officially, and our meetings consist of three specific roles. Our first, I'm sorry, three specific sections. Our first section is the prepared speeches. The next section is the table topic, where everyone gets a chance to speak and give a response to give a 1 to 2 minute response to a um, question. And then the third portion of our meeting is the evaluation. So without further ado, we will start with oh, I'm sorry. I would like for each one to explain their roles. So can we start by getting an explanation of the roles for the table topics master? Sean, what's your role tonight as table topics master?
Hello, Toastmasters. I will be the table topics master for tonight. And as many of you know, the table topics are a off the cuff type question and short answer response. And the theme will be seasons, in particular springtime.
Awesome, thank you. I'm excited to get to that portion. But let's see, we need to discuss the role of the timer. I think our timer is Diego. Diego, could you tell us what the job is of the timer, please?
That's correct, Olivia. I am the timer for tonight. Hello, everyone. My role is to remind everyone who has the lectern that they need to communicate their idea in a succinct and timely manner. The prepared speeches tonight are between 5 to 7 minutes long. This green cup represents you met the 5-minute mark.
Awesome.
This yellow indicates that you are at 6 minutes, and this red folder represents that you are at 7 minutes, and it is at that point where you should start wrapping up your idea within 30 seconds after seeing it. The evaluations are to last between 2 minutes at minimum up to 3 minutes, and table topics at minimum should be at 1 minute, 1 minute and 30, and then finally 2 minutes.
Okay.
I think those are the important time limits that are going to be in place for tonight's meeting. Back to you, Olivia.
Thank you very much for that report. Next, we will speak to the R counter and grammarian. I think the R counter and grammarian is also you, Sean. Thank you. Would you explain to us those roles?
Yes, fellow Toastmasters, I will be the counter, and I will be keeping track of filler words such as so. I'll also be tracking any grammatical errors that I see during any of the speeches. Thank you, Olivia.
Thank you. Our next role that we're going to discuss is general evaluator. Carrie, could you tell me the job of a general evaluator, please?
Hello, everyone. Tonight, my task is general evaluator, and the general evaluator is to evaluate overall the meeting, and also a counter, grammarian, and a timer. In addition to it, I'll introduce the evaluation first evaluation and the second evaluation also. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we have all of our roles covered. So with that being said, without further ado, we're going to start with our first section, and that is our prepared speeches. And tonight we have two prepared speeches. One's going to be by David, and the second prepared speech is going to be by Majid. Who's going to go first tonight?
I can go first.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, if you would come on up, we're going to turn the lectern over to Majid, and he's going to give us his first prepared speech.
Hello, friends. Thank you, Olivia.
Thank you.
Sorry for the background now. If you guys hear there's some fights going on for the toys. So I would like to start with asking. Probably let's ask with Olivia. What was your first cell phone, Olivia? What brand was your first cell phone that you had?
I'm sorry, I had put myself on mute. The first cell phone I had, if I'm not mistaken, it was a Nokia, depending on how you want to say it.
Awesome, awesome. So that's what my uh, my speech is around for today.
Okay.
The last statement by the Nokia CEO, Steve. Let me review the name again. Uh, Steve Ballmer is, "We did not do anything wrong, but somehow we lost." As you see, we don't see Nokia cell phones around. Nokia was bought by Microsoft, and now they're completely gone. So the concept, the idea that I want to bring to you, fellow Toastmasters, is my topic for today is leadership style. I'm sure you have glimpsed through the Toast material on the Toastmaster website, which is, I think, very organized and also very informative. I would like to show you my current style of leadership that I got an evaluation through the Toastmasters website, and show you the area where I'm lagging or where I have an opportunity to improve. So I took that course, that evaluation. I just wanted to show, I don't know if it's clear or not, but if you see, this is my evaluation of my leadership style. As you see, democratic, I have a very good score. So I have an attitude of always asking for opinions and discussing with teams what's the right way and deciding with all the team to coming to a common point. But as you see, my lowest area of my score is innovative leadership style. So this area I would like to focus on during my still continuing level 1 and level 2s as it grows on this area of innovative leadership style. With new technologies and processes, it is necessary for an organization, any organization, be a cell phone company or a metallic company, or where you have workers working in a car production environment, say. It's very important for innovatively create an idea or ensure for the continuing insurance of a company to be successful or to stay competitive or to adapt to a change. People have a style of usage pattern. We have recently observed on special events like Mardi Gras or Voodoo Fest and all the special events that we have, that uplink download is getting heavier than downlink. For years and years, we used to have people downloading data from the servers, YouTube, and special events during every event. But now people are uploading more data. Snapchat, Facebook, they're uploading more data. So we need to understand this pattern of the need of the people and adapt to it. Like one example. So innovation and adapting is very important for any company or any business. And it comes with this style of leadership, innovative leadership style. Without innovative leadership, any organization would struggle. As some analysis says, Nokia has struggled because of this. They have not done anything wrong, but somehow they lost it because I think the emphasis on innovation in that company. This new call for innovation represents the shift from a traditional view of an organization where people used to not emphasize so much on innovation. They used to follow a process, a hard-coded process. 1 + 1 = 2, E = mc squared, standard formulas. But now, the 21st century, we value innovation. One of the scholar, M.D. Scott, mentions in his book, Leading Creative People, is a very powerful statement. where he says the potentially powerful influence on organizations' achievement are the people who are thinkers behind it, like an innovative group, innovative tanks behind it, think tanks. So with this broader idea, I would like to drag your attention to how do we implement this idea. So I have this basic cheat sheet from my company, where it shows a core competency. Here it says innovative planning, I think, innovative change and innovation, and the basic definition of it, saying make change successful by embedding new practices. So these are 4 levels of how you could embed the change in yourself. So the first step of embedding change is by yourself. Identify the new ideas, identify new ideas and adopt in your daily life. You're number 1. You start with yourself. Number 2 is challenge the current practices to drive improvement. So this impacts you and your team. So you see a broken process or a process where improvement is, you could improve that process. The third one is very bold. It's driving transformation by boldly pushing the boundaries. So it's more like a whole process of your team, which other teams are also impacted. So it's a greater process, which a whole company is impacted. So if you have a vision, if you have an idea, you go for it, you drive that idea out. So it impacts the whole company. This is the third highest level for the core competency for innovation and change. And the last one is where you lead and you train your team to do it, to that. So that set the change agenda. You are the one who is setting the change agenda, and you're empowering your team, your co-workers, and you're setting their agenda and your team, and you inculcate your team to innovate. This is the highest level of planning, innovative planning or innovative leadership style. So how do I adapt these in my daily life? First, the situation is challenging. So I have shrinking down to where we stand. So one of the way I have implemented it is creating a work group in my team for challenging areas like a drop call or throughput degradation. So the think tanks and dedicating time to it. So these think tanks are creating and finding an opportunities for improvement. So to conclude my speech, the leadership style and innovation leadership style. So for building a team, the first step is having clearly articulating your goals, your common goals, and creating a vision for your team. And then being more open to your team, discussing ideas, and inculcate a spirit of new ideas in your team. Create groups for creating more ideas, more innovation, because innovation is not owned by an individual. It's like team. Every team puts in an idea, and that's how a whole innovative team is emerged. A whole innovative plan is emerged. With this, I would like to relinquish the lectern back to Toastmaster. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abdul. Let's give him a hand clap, please. And we thank you for your speech about leadership style and innovation. It was a very good speech. It talks about improving, changing, and bettering yourself. And that's always something that we have to aspire to do. And just like you said with Nokia, even though they didn't do anything wrong, they still lost. So that's profound, and we all should learn something from that. Even though we're not doing anything wrong, we should always be looking for ways to improve. Thank you very much for that speech. And next, we're going to call up our second speech, which is by David Roberts. We'll give you a hand clap as he comes up to the lectern.
Thank you, Olivia.
Hello, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good.
This speech is the final pathway module of level 2 of dynamic leadership. The title of this module is Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring. My speech title is Mentoring and Me. I kind of thought it was catchy. In this module, I learned about the mentor-protege relationship and how coaching and mentoring aren't really the same thing. This module is required for all Toastmasters pathways. It is that important. It's how life works. And it's been a real problem for me. The subject of this speech is a time in my life when I was a protege, when I had a mentor guiding me. I've had wonderful teachers, coaches, bosses, sponsors, therapists, friends, but in those situations, I was their student or employee or sponsee or patient or fellow friend. I wasn't a protege. So who would I pick to talk about as a person in my life that I was a protege of? Who was my mentor? How about my dad? My dad was a kind, loving person, but he was more of a coach in my life than a mentor. And when he wasn't being a coach, he had to do everything for himself. He didn't trust other people. And I've learned that the mentor-protege relationship requires trust. The one person that comes to my mind as the best example of when I was a protege is a man named Sharad Joshi. He was from India. I was right out of college in my early 20s as a young, green, awkward, shy engineer. In my very first job working for the state of Alabama, I was assigned to work as a field engineer on the Cochrane Africatown Bridge. That's that great big bridge that sits over Mobile River. And that was a new type of bridge for the state of Alabama. So we needed some help. And we hired Sharad Joshi as a consultant to help us in inspecting and having this bridge built. Mr. Joshi was a world-renowned expert on cable-stay bridges. And as a new engineer working there, I was assigned to work with Joshi. I would describe Joshi as a gentle genius. He sought the truth. And he had a way of inspiring me. He didn't coerce me, or he was never demanding. He was always curious, always learning and working. He showed me how to be brave. I remember one day in our office, our head boss was a bit of a hothead, and he just blew up at Joshi. And I just froze. I didn't know what to think. But Joshi held his ground, didn't get angry, listened to what the man had to say or yell, and he responded in a calm and kind manner and said what he needed to say and just walked off. Joshi taught me how to deal with difficult people. Another example of how our mentor-protege relationship worked is bridge deflection. When building the Cochrane Bridge, if you've ever driven across it, there's two main piers on either side of Mobile River, and they stand 350 feet tall. Well, during the construction of the bridge, different loads and forces, all kinds of variables will cause these towers to deflect one direction or another. And Joshi was needing to understand this deflection better, so he came to me. Not because I'm an expert, Joshi was the expert, but he knew that I loved computer programming. And so he asked if I would be willing to develop some programs that would help him in analyzing these deflections. Well, this is 1987, and we did not even have a computer in our office, but I had one at home, and I volunteered right away to help Joshi. And so I developed these programs on my home computer in my own time. And as a result of that, and getting back with Joshi and going back and forth, we really grew, our relationship grew, and I learned more about the bridge and was able to help him at the same time. And what I'm trying to say is Joshi trusted me. He understood that it was important to trust me as a new engineer, that I could do what he asked to do. But more importantly, Joshi taught me about bridge deflection and about bridge construction. But more importantly, he taught me about life, about conflict resolution, with difficult bosses and whatnot. And he taught me about problem solving and trusting and relying on each other. Josie was not my teacher or my coach or my boss or my sponsor or therapist or friend, but in a way, he was all of those things. He was my mentor. He made me realize he cared about me as a person. And I sensed it was part of his duty to further the profession of engineering by helping me develop. And what I'm saying is mentoring and protege is not, it's not just Josie and me. It's much bigger than that. Those relationships are beautiful. When we grow as people, we help society. Society becomes a better place. And it was truly a symbiotic relationship. This speech has been difficult for me to develop. I've realized that being a protege or a mentor is something that I've mostly avoided in my life. I'm like my dad. It's not easy for me to let people in. Trust, willingness to be vulnerable. I need to work on this. Mr. Toastmaster, Madam Toastmaster.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David. That was a beautiful speech. Mentoring me. If I had known that you helped to design the African Town Bridge, maybe I would drive over it once or twice. Everyone knows about my fear of bridges, so of course that's one of the ones that I try to avoid. Maybe I'll go across it one day. I've been on it maybe twice in my whole life. Did you say it was it erected in 1987?
It was, this construction started, I think, in 1985, and it was completed in 1990 or 91.
Wow. Okay. Boy, time flies. Yeah, that was done before I even got to Mobile then. I don't know. Anyway, thank you so much. And that is the end of our first section, which is our prepared speeches. And now we're moving on to a section of the meeting that everyone can participate in. And that is our table topic section. And our table topic master is Sean Shea. Let's give him an applause as he takes over the lectern. Sean.
Thank you, Olivia. All right, fellow Toastmasters, as I said before, our top table topics will be around the topic of springtime and seasons. So I'm going to ask the first question. What are your thoughts of the pros and cons of daylight savings time? Do I have any volunteers? Okay. I saw Olivia first, but I don't know who raised their hand first, but
I'll go ahead. Who else? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Carrie, you ready to answer this one? Carrie, can you hear me?
No, Carrie, you can't hear?
So connection is not good here, so please go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry about that, Carrie. The question was, give it to me again. What are the pros and cons of daylight saving?
That's correct.
Okay, well, for the first con, well, the first pro of daylight savings is the long daytime. So I do like being able to come home from work and it's not already dark, because when daylight savings is not in, then I usually get off work after it's already dark. And, and when had small kids, that was always a daunting task of getting to the after school care, picking them up, and God forbid if we had to cook dinner or go to the grocery store or go out. it was already dark, and I just don't like fooling around too much with the kids after dark. However, with those long hours, for us, that means we're in the brutal dog days of summer, so the heat is always intense. And the bugs are bad. I live way out in the county, and the bugs are terrible here. So those are, that's just one of there's two of the cons. The intense heat, and which means with the summertime comes the bad bugs. But for me, the pro is I love the long days, and I wish we could just leave it alone. If Arizona has figured out how to leave it alone, please, why can't we all? I heard Florida is considering getting rid of daylight savings as well, or removing daylight savings, just keeping it as it is. I just wish we could keep it one way, and I get tired of losing an hour and gaining an hour. So just stop it. No more formers having to worry about it anymore. We're beyond that stage. Just please let the time stay. And that's my answer. Thank you. Back to you, Sean.
Thank you, Olivia. Well, I've been told we're short on time, so I'm going to do just one more. And Carrie, you want to go for this one?
Sure.
Okay. The question is, what outdoor activities do you enjoy in the spring?
Mhm. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, again. And what activity do I like, and particularly in the spring? I try to be active anytime, any season, all the time, any weather, raining, snowing, gusty, whatever, sunny, hot, cold. So I don't have any particular favorite activity in spring. But my favorite activity, or not necessarily favorite or not, but I got to do activity, is jog in the morning, about the 1 hour. And then strength training, the weight training every other day. And sometimes swimming, sometimes ping pong, sometimes racquetball, many different activities. The purpose is to use a different group of muscle. And I'm not sure I'm an active person, but I try to be active. And the spring is not, season is not necessarily the point. No matter what kind of season, no matter what kind of weather, no matter what kind of temperature, just do it. That's my conclusion. Thank you. And back to Toastmaster.
Thank you, Carrie. Do we have time for one more, or we want to move on?
Sean, it's your call. You're in charge.
Okay. I'll just go ahead and turn it back over to the Toastmaster. Olivia.
Thank you, Sean, for your table topics, and Karen for your constant motivation for us to stay active. I tell you, that's exactly what I did during this downtime and COVID-19 stay-at-home time. I just tried to stay completely active. I went to some parks that I have never visited, and I went to one that I've visited in the past years ago, and I just walked and really took time to know the roses. Okay, well, without further ado, we're going to go over into our final section of our meeting, and that is our evaluation. So I will give the lecturing over to our general evaluator. And Carrie, I think that is you, please, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Again, I am the general evaluator tonight. And let's start with the prepared speech evaluation. First is, I'm sorry, who is evaluator?
The first speech evaluator was for Majid. Who was, I think you're doing him, Diego, right?
I am Majid's evaluator. I can go first if you like, if you would like me to.
Okay, first evaluator is Diego. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. And thank you, everyone. And a big thank you to Majid for sharing with us an important message about leadership and what it means to lead a group of people towards a bigger objective. I have a few comments about his speech and his speech habits that I want to share with you all tonight. Majid, I think it is very clear that you have become really good at incorporating gestures into your speeches, always with the purpose to support and emphasize a particular point. I remember on 2 occasions, there was one moment where you talked about how people, or like Nokia, they like to stick to the status quo, and they like to follow what has already been successful. And the phrase that you used was follow a process. And as you can see with my hands, you really emphasized, you helped us imagine that Nokia was practicing tunnel vision with this hand gesture rather than just saying, and they were following a process. I think another great moment of you emphasizing your message, your vocal message with gestures, was when you indicated the 4-step process and you pointed with your fingers to each different step, rather than just saying, and they followed 4 different processes in order to accomplish this goal. So it's clear that you are now learning to incorporate more of your body into the main message that you want to communicate with the audience in front of you. One area of improvement and a challenge that I want to issue to you for your next speech is incorporating more vocal variety into your next speech, because tonight, although it was very thought-provoking, it did sound very monotone and very matter-of-fact. And I think if you inject more vocal variety and more enthusiasm, you are going to get more, the message will really resonate more with the audience, and it'll be a very captivating speech. It's clear that the topics that you want to share are very reflective in nature, and now the next step is injecting enthusiasm and making your speech more of a show rather than a PowerPoint presentation. That is one challenge I want to issue to you for your next speech. But the other cause for celebration that I want to share with you tonight is that I did not observe any moment of stuttering. I know in the past, whenever you've had the spotlight on you, there have been some moments where you've stuttered through saying the next thing that you want to say, and tonight it is clear that you were very comfortable in sharing what you wanted to say tonight, or you clearly rehearsed a lot of times the message you wanted to share. And it's clear that this level of comfortability, this level of preparation that you exercised really played a huge role in you not stuttering tonight. So that is you have crossed a very big bar, a very big personal obstacle, and I hope that you will continue to overcome this stuttering self-personal obstacle in the next speeches that you give. But overall, great job tonight, and I'm going to return the lectern back to Carrie. Thank you.
Thank you, Diego. I like every evaluation because we are on the Zoom and the picture is pretty flat, 2-dimensional, but you're using a lot of gesture, hand gesture, moving back and forth, and some more 3-dimensional. It's really looks active and fun to look at. Thank you so much. And second evaluator is, I'm sorry, who is that?
Me,
Maurice?
Yes.
Okay, second evaluator, Maurice, and thank you.
Yes. I'm evaluating David's speech on Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring, and I'll get into the general comments. He excelled at demonstrating the differences between a mentor and a coach or a teacher, and gave examples of each, strong examples of each. He also demonstrated how he benefited from being a protege. And also, we learned that sometimes being a coach is not a good succedaneum for being a mentor. Next point, you may want to work on a little more vocal variety. He did have some vocal variety during the speech, but a little more could have sufficed. And to challenge yourself, just keep on building upon your communication and leadership skills through these different exercises. You know, each project in the path is a building block to better communication and or better leadership. Now the evaluation points: clarity, his speaking voice was clear and easily understood. Vocal variety, he did use some vocal variety. Eye contact, the speaker did look into the camera for the majority of the speech. You know, since we're not in person, I guess looking into the camera on Zoom is, I guess, a better equivalent of eye contact. Gestures, he used a good amount of gestures. Audience awareness. I don't know if you observed audience awareness, since we're in this situation with the Zoom. Comfort level, he appeared very comfortable during his speech. Interest, it was a very interesting speech on mentoring. And on the topic, shares personal experience as a protege, he demonstrated his personal experience as a protege in his job as an engineer for the state of Alabama. And with that, I would like to relinquish the lectern back to the general evaluator.
Thank you, Maurice.
Thank you, Maurice. I like your always background, makes me feel like in Hawaii or somewhere. And also I like your evaluation because well organized. You got the really good points of the speakers, and that makes me feel like always good about myself too. Thank you, Maurice. Let's move on next. Our counter and grammarian. Sean will do the both.
Okay.
Please start, Sean.
Thank you, Carrie. So the counter report for tonight on the first speech, Majid, you had 5 uhs and 2 so's. David, on your speech, I did not see any filler words. Olivia, I did not see any hear any filler words. And then on the evaluations, Diego and Maurice, there were no filler words I noticed. And then on grammatical errors, the only thing I really saw was, or heard was, when Carrie, when you did your table topic, you used kind of a run-on sentence, I guess, and it was kind of sometimes, and so that was kind of a grammatical thing for me. But besides that, I didn't notice anything. Back to you, Carrie. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Next timer, Diego, please.
Thank you, Carrie. These are the times that I wanted to share with everyone. Majid's speech was 8 minutes and 27 minutes, so unfortunately, at least a minute over. David's speech was 6 minutes and 57 seconds, which was 3 seconds before the maximum. For the table topics, with the maximum minutes being 2 minutes, Olivia was 1 minute and 34 seconds. Carrie's table topics was 1 minute and 6 seconds. For the evaluations, with the maximum time limit being 3 minutes, my evaluation of Majid was 3 minutes and 30 minutes. Maurice's evaluation of David's speech was 2 minutes and 30 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Sean's counter and grammarian report has been a minute and 14 seconds. And those are the time limits that I have shared up until this moment. Back to you, Carrie.
Carrie, you're on mute.
Okay, again, thank you, Diego. I believe I covered all of it, right? And then I'd like to make an overall meeting evaluation. And we started quite on time. And then we did only two table topics, but I guess it's good because if we have another one, we probably running late. So it was good decision for Sean. And overall, again, we're on time, and it's good. So we should do this the same way next week too. And what else? Well, I guess that's all for tonight. Thank you. Back to Toastmaster Olivia.
All right, thank you, Carrie, and we really appreciate your evaluation. Your general evaluation was great, and thank you everyone else for your report. I would like to, even though Maurice has already introduced it, if you guys caught it, the word of the day is succedaneum. Sorry that we did not go over it at the beginning, but it's still a teaching moment. So the definition of it's a noun, and the definition is a substitute, especially for a medicine or a drug. So a succedaneum is a substitute. It is spelled Succedaneum, succedaneum. Do we have an educational overview? I think I just gave one. Succedaneum is your educational overview. Do we have anything else for educational overview?
I don't think we have a larger educational overview planned for tonight. Thank you, Olivia.
Okay, well, great. With that being said, I will turn the lecture back over to our president, Diego, if you would, take it away.
Thank you, Olivia, and thank you for guiding us through the meeting proceedings tonight. I'm very, again, as I mentioned to you in the chat privately, I'm very surprised that this is the very first moment you've been Toastmaster. We should have had you doing Toastmaster at an earlier date, because this is a very important meeting role that everyone needs to get familiar with and comfortable with. It's not as scary as one thinks. Olivia, I don't see why you should be so scared of this role, because it's clear that you did a good job tonight. So I'm only looking forward to future meetings where you guide us again.
Thanks, Diego. You know, now that I was doing it, I may have, Maurice, do you recall me ever being Toastmaster before? Maybe I did it once, maybe. I don't know.
Clearly, if we've forgotten it, it's been far too long. It's been far too long since you've done it.
Okay, all right. Thank you for the compliment. And I will, you had some great notes, so I'll definitely try it again. And thank you for being secretary for the night.
Excellent. Yes, we'll make sure that whenever, if there's a secretary and they are to take on the Toastmasters role, we will find someone else to be the secretary for that night, because it is too much multitasking. Okay. Maurice, do we have, oh, well, actually, Olivia, have you been able to complete the level 1 pathways request or whatnot?
How could I keep forgetting? You would think I had so much time on my hands, but actually I forgot. So I will make sure I get on there and take care of that this week.
Okay, great. I know David mentioned in his speech that he's completing level 2. Correct me if I'm wrong, David.
That's correct.
Excellent. That is a great moment in Pathways as well. Majid, are you almost done with level 2?
Actually, I have to finish level 1. So I did this level 2. I was under understanding that there were 2 speeds, but Morris email me the adjustments. So I think one more speech and then I'll be done with level 1.
Excellent, excellent.
Thanks, Maurice.
Okay. Okay. Hey, Majid, you can either count that as this one tonight, you can count it as your third speech on level 1, or you can count it as your level 2, and I mean, whichever.
Sure. I'll count it as level 1/3.
Okay. Okay. All right.
I think for everyone's benefit, it's been consistent in the past that we haven't been able to fill out the roles in time before the meetings. And what I'm going to try now is for this month, I'm going to go ahead and assign everyone's roles, and that will be sent out this week. So that way everyone has plenty of notice, and all they have to do is email they just have to email me back saying, okay, I can't make it to this meeting, so I can't do this role for that night. So that way the meetings can be pre-assigned, that way all the roles can be assigned ahead of time. And also, Maurice, please correct me if I'm wrong, Maurice, but have you been able to see people pre-register for prepared speeches for the week after next Monday? Because I know next Monday I'm speaking and someone else is speaking.
Yes. I think Carrie is on the 18th, and David. Actually, David. I think he scheduled this speech for the 18th if he couldn't get it this week. So I don't know if he scheduled another speech for the 18th.
Okay, so normally when we would be meeting in person, the calendar would be passed around, but due to these circumstances, I'm just going to look at whoever needs to complete, anyone who's really close to completing a path. I'm going to go ahead, completing a level in the pathways. I'm going to go ahead and assign you to an upcoming speech, an upcoming Monday date. And again, you can do the same process of, if you don't think you can make it to that time, just email and say, I can't make it. But I think going ahead and pre-registering everyone to their meeting roles and to their prepared speeches will give everyone plenty of notice to prepare a speech for that date, rather than at the end of the meeting signing up for a week in advance. I think that will give everyone much notice, and I think that will streamline the process for people like me and everyone who attends these meetings tonight. They will have a very up-to-date agenda for the meeting as well.
Okay, so there is one open slot on the 18th as of now.
Oh, you're saying the other Mondays in May?
Well, I think David, he scheduled it for tonight, and then his if he didn't get to speak tonight, his other date would have been the 18th. So
That's correct.
Since he did that speech tonight, then the 18th is open for anyone.
Well, I'll take the 18th.
Okay. Either way, check your emails. You will be receiving an email either explaining you have a prepared speech coming up, or you're going to be doing this role on this upcoming Monday, and either simply confirm on EasySpeak or decline through an email reply saying, I can't make it to that meeting, I can't be that role tonight. There's no hard feelings. It's just to streamline the agenda making process for everyone involved tonight. I can't think of other pressing information to be shared. With that, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all so much for coming, and we will see you next Monday at 6:45.
Thank you.